Welcome, everybody, to the Just Add Bourbon podcast. I'm Jimmy Don Kerr.
I'm J.D. Denver.
We're without Brad today. He had a work situation come up, so he had to be out. I'm hoping he'll be able to jump on here in a little bit, JD. I sent him the link anyway, so he can make his, what's the word I'm looking for? His entrance later on. He can be tastefully late or, he's trying to be cool, I guess. I don't know. But it's another beautiful Sunday evening here in the hills of Eastern Kentucky. And for those who listen to us that are outside of Eastern Kentucky, this may be, this is going to have some local flavor to it as far as we had something happen this week that I am directly involved in, but it affects our community in a big way. And if you're watching us live on the YouTube stream, ask questions. If you got some questions, I'll try to answer them. JD's going to ask me some questions too. We'll kind of do a little question and answer session. And then we got some other cool topics, JD, that we're going to try to talk about today. But before we jump into the local flavor, I'm sitting last night. I come in, I'm chilling out. Let me get this thing up here. I'm chilling out, and this video comes across on my YouTube feed. And it's JD, and I think your mom was out there.
Yeah.
And JD had built this bench, almost like a sectional, like to sit on. And I thought, my God, JD's got some skills, boys. I'm telling you that, because I brag on him all the time. He's got this chair that he built, and he bought him some nice cushions, and he got him some sweet flowers and, some things like that. But that looked nice, JD. Was you doing that just for you or your mom, or were you actually building that for somebody?
No, I had a friend, man, on Facebook. She was like asking people about patio furniture. And I was like, or you could just let me build you something. I'm always trying to make a buck, man, do something.
Well, sure.
And she's like, well, what you got in mind? She goes, I would love to have a outdoor sectional. And I was like, I can do that, So we worked out the particulars of the deal, and I waited till this weekend where I had a little free time and got on it yesterday. And it's been I got it together yesterday. It took me a while to get together, which, working that kind of woodworking by yourself, trying to hold a board while you're drilling another board, keeping everything square. It was a real pain in the.
Well, it looked good, man. I mean, like, legit. It looked good. Like, I was like, man, that's kind of cool. I showed Amy. I was like, I might have JD build us something. I don't know. For the outside, I said, if he's looking to do that kind of thing, I said, it looks kind of cool. But you can watch the video on JD's YouTube channel. It's just Jason Dameron. You can see his bourbon reviews on there. And then I think there's one of your comedy shows is on there too. A video you did at one of your comedy shows is there. And JD.
By the way, that comedy set, we got him on YouTube, and I guess he subscribed. But I seen that, and he was like, that was worth the watch just for the accent. And I was like,
is that Gary Fleming?
Yeah.
That was, I think, his favorite thing about talking to us was listening to us talk. So go check JD's YouTube page out and subscribe. We're still, having this challenge. If whoever gets to 250 subscribers first, the loser has to eat a California Reaper or something hot anyway. And the winner will actually wear a T-shirt, maybe one of these new Just Add Bourbon podcast T-shirts. That would be too easy, right? The winner would.
We're doing that.
Yeah, winner's probably going to have to wear a Biden, like I would wear a Hillary for President shirt, and JD might wear a Trump shirt. I don't know. We'll find something creative to do.
Yeah. Like, I don't even know if I want to win no more. Like,
yeah, right. JD's like, I just assume eat that pepper. I'm good. No, but check out mine and JD's YouTube pages. Like I said, JD's is Jason Dameron. He did a really cool review the other night on some bourbon that our buddy Eric, who runs our social media, sent him, and sounded like he really liked it. Like you were really ranking it up there.
Yeah, I was impressed with it, man. Usually bourbon's got that bite to it, which I really appreciate in bourbon. We got that bite to it. This thing was like sweet. I never had sweet bourbon before. And so, yeah, I ranked it pretty good, man. It was a nice little setup. And what Eric did, man, was pretty cool, too. He actually sent my review into that distillery, Smoky Quartz Distillery. They put it on their Facebook page.
No kidding.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, and mine is called Small Town Collectibles. I open up mystery boxes, Funko Pops, comic books, things like that. So JD and I are still in this race to 250 subscribers. I think JD, last count, I was at like 72. What are you at right now?
60.
60. Nice. So
yeah, it's still.
So he's still a little behind, but we're catching up. I think it would be equally satisfying to win or lose this challenge. We just really want 250 subscribers. so what, JD?
Pricing though, by the way.
What is it?
I ate a chili pepper yesterday or day before yesterday, and man, that's pretty hot. Like I don't even think the Carolina Reaper is like comparable to the chili pepper. And I was like, ooh, it's a bit hot. Like you're trying to get in that headspace before you eat something like that. You're like, oh, I can do this. I ate that chili pepper. I was like, man, this thing's burning me up pretty good.
I don't know if I would do that or not. Yeah.
Now, and the thing about a Carolina Reaper's got me a little bit worried.
Well, and like I like hot food, right? I mean, I like hot food. The hotter, the better. I don't know if it's my sense of taste or what is not that great. I'm really not sure. But like I really like hot stuff. But eating a Carolina Reaper or something that's just brutally hot, I don't know. Like I said, I like hot stuff. I like to think I could handle it. But at the end of the day, I'm not so sure I even want to try. So all right, JD, let's get into the first topic.
Yeah.
And like I said, this has got some local flavor. So if you're not interested in what we, are going to talk about here locally, you can just kind of move on over to topic 2. So here in our community, we live in Eastern Kentucky, far Eastern Kentucky, and we don't have a ton, right? I mean, it's small. It's very rural. There's not a lot here. We don't have a lot of fast food restaurants. There's not a lot of industry. Our industry was always coal mining, and the coal mines are pretty much gone right now. I don't know if they'll be gone. JD himself is a coal miner and was laid off and actually had to find other employment. So we have a community center that was built, I want to say 18, 19 years ago, JD. I was just out of college and was back here, was working, and they were just building it. And I remember that very, very well. I would go through it, as the construction was going on. It was very cool. And over the past 18, 19 years, it has become the hub of our little county. Everything that is centrally done is done there. We have a movie theater there, which is very nice. There's a lot of rooms where people have weddings and wedding receptions and any
plays.
Any politician that has ever came to our county, that's where we meet. And we've got a fitness center. There's a walking track. There's a gym. I mean, like, it's really nice. And it's, we probably got the nicest community center in Eastern Kentucky, truly. I mean, it is really nice. And our movie theater is awesome. Yeah. I will literally go somewhere and eat out of town and then drive back here so I can go to the movies at our movie theater. Well, I am on the board of directors for this community center. And this past week, our former chair resigned, the current chair resigned, and then we had one other board member resign. And that left me and another guy and then 3 brand new board members, 3 guys that had only been to one meeting each. And it was also laid out to us in said meeting that our primary benefactor, who has basically given money to keep the center operational for the past 18, 19 years, was no longer going to be giving that money. And it came down to, we had very little money in the bank. We are 4 months behind on an electric bill. Our phone got cut off last week. And we were faced with a decision of what to do. So we temporarily voted to close down the community center. Now, there are several businesses in the community center, and those businesses remain open today. But as far as the rest of the community center is concerned, we were forced to lay everybody off except for one person. We still have the director there as we try to formulate a plan on how to keep the center open. And JD, the expenses just far, far, far outweigh what income the center currently generates. Okay, so it generates about $3,200 a month roughly in rental income. Right now, based on last month or average expenses, the way it was presented to us, the cost is about $32,000 a month to operate it. So as you can see, $3,000 coming in, $32,000 a month to operate. There's a problem. So we decided to shut everything down. Now, the original plan was to vote to dissolve the board. And if the board is dissolved, then it automatically transfers over to the county. But we didn't officially vote. We came up with a statement, said we're going to dissolve the board. When we met with the county officials, and we did, we went down and we met with the county officials. We met with the judge executive, the deputy judge, the county attorney, and assistant county attorney. We were advised that we would have to officially take an action to dissolve the board because we did not vote. Now, we have a lawyer that's on our board who says we're fine, we're dissolved, but we may have to go back and actually take this action to dissolve. So we have a meeting scheduled this week to meet again with the physical court of the county, and we are going to try to develop a plan to reopen the center. Okay. So why the benefactor decided to stop giving money is a point of controversy here in her little small community. But that is the situation that we are now in. We've got to rework the business model in order to make it self-sufficient.
So I got a couple questions for you before you go.
Absolutely. No, fire away.
How much has the COVID impacted this community center?
Immediate. No, that is the biggest factor right now. Now, of course, our benefactor decided not to give money anymore because basically he was just making up the difference every month. Whatever they were short, he would make up the difference. But the community center does not have the ability to generate income while we are under quarantine, essentially, or while we're under restriction.
Right. There's no movies open. The gym's closed down.
Everything's closed, and everything that people are allowed to do there right now is free.
Yeah. Right.
So if you want to use the walking track, it doesn't cost anything. You just get to come in, use the walking track. But we still have to pay for the electric.
Right.
And the electric bill there runs on average from $7,000 to $10,000 a month.
But people can't host events there. There's no weddings taking place.
That's right.
Whatever. So when those things are operating, how what kind of downfall is it there? Like what's the gap for the operating expenses?
It's still pretty extensive. I mean, like it's still, it cannot operate the way that the business model is currently set up.
Okay. It
just cannot operate that way. We're going to have to get incredibly creative. We're going to have to do some things. We've got to really look. And I told JD today, I was going to come to JD's and do the podcast. And I said, look, man, if you don't care, let's do this remote. That way I can use all my time because I've spent most of my afternoon trying to work through different plans and how you structure. And we've got some solid people on the board, and we've got some new members that are getting ready to come on board. I won't announce that yet, but we've got some new members that'll be coming on. Yeah. And we are going to have to work with the county and the physical court as well as economic development to come up with a solid plan on how to try to make it self-sufficient. Because You're right, JD, right now, the way it stands, even if we were full bore open, there's still not really enough money to pay the bills. Like we're going to have to restructure things in a big way. Right.
No, it's sad. I hate, but I think this is just a symptom of a problem we've had for a long, long time. Not only relying on, this certain businessman to foot that bill, but also in our inability to be creative and to prosper and use the resources that we have in this county. You know what I'm saying? The trails, all these things that we can offer here that we've just not tried to do. And now here we are holding a basket, that we can't fill.
Well, and you know how it is, man. I said, the problem is we had this certain person and everybody kind of knew. He did not ask for any credit for what he was doing. And I'm going to be totally honest with you, with my position on the board, I was as much a seat filler as I was anything. I was there to make sure they had quorum, to make sure, to run the business of the meeting so that we could vote and, call for a vote and second and things like that. And when it was presented to us, it wasn't presented to us in a way that, hey, things are really, really bad. It was just kind of known that he had to write a check every month.
Right.
And so nobody really cared. And from the community standpoint, I don't think anybody really thought about it either. It was just open. We knew that he was writing the check. He was willing to write the check. And so nobody cared.
Right.
And that's not right. It shouldn't be up to one person to have to do that.
Absolutely. Look,
and
he's gone above and beyond, if you ask me, and I'm appreciative what he's done.
Truth is, man, if you go through our county, this individual, you go through our county, you can't find anything nice that we have, and his fingerprint's not be on it.
I made a Facebook post. I guess people thought I was making a hit on him.
Mm-hmm.
Really was not doing that. It was my intention. My intention was to try to understand what was going on.
Yeah, he's trying to figure. I read it. I actually did go back and read it after you told me about it, and I could see where somebody might take it like that. But at the same time, I know you, and I know you well enough that when I read it, I was like, he's just trying to figure out what's going on. Because you are inquisitive, you ask questions. It wasn't even a thing where I thought, well, I could see where somebody might take it like that, but it was, I knew what you were doing.
Somebody knows me like you do, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, but I think I'm optimistic that we're going to figure it out, man. That the people of this county are going to figure out a way to keep the lights on. That our board's going to show leadership and creativity and get things done. And I think we're going to be all right. And like I told you the other night when you chatted, this may be the best thing that ever happened to the board or to the community center, is that we're not relying on an individual to take care of that bill. Maybe it's time the county does take care of the bill the way they're supposed to, and that maybe we can get this community center not just relying on that, but thriving, and hopefully that's what happens. And then maybe get a chance for us to bring in people from outside the county, and bring money into the county. So,
and that's the thing, JD, is that community center actually does that. A lot of people don't understand this, or I don't know if they think about it this way. Maybe they do. I just never heard anybody say it really.
Right.
Geographically, our hometown is disadvantaged because of where it's located. You don't have to go through us to get anywhere.
Okay.
All the counties that border us, you can get to in a different direction on a better road, right? You have to want to come here to come here. If we were 10 miles closer to US 23, we would probably have a very, very different economic outlook because you're passing by us or you're passing through us. Now, there's a road where the new high school is that if we can get that attached, there would be a need to actually come through Martin County to get to some places.
Right.
Economically, that's going to help us a great deal. And it actually got taken out of the county road plan by Governor Bevin.
Yeah.
Or the state road plan, whatever, by Governor Bevin, which is very disappointing. But that is the one thing that I can see that geographically helps us. But when we come out of that meeting the other night, I cannot explain to you how I felt. Because I love the community center, and Amy and I were talking. Like, I came in, and my mom was here. Amy had made dinner, and I came in, and my mom said, "What is wrong?" And then I had to sit down and explain what happened because it was all over my face, like I was sick.
You feel like it's the water thing all over again, didn't you?
Oh my God! And I come out the door, and it was like a movie. It was me and a couple of guys, and we were coming out, and as we were kind of talking, you know how you do, you're walking, you're talking, then you stop, and then you talk, and then you start walking again. So I see this car pull in as we're coming out the door, and I see that it has West Virginia tags. So we're talking, start walking again. This family walks by us, and this little kid looks up and says, "Oh, I can't wait to watch this movie." And I about fell over and cried right there. I'm not lying. Like somebody punched me in the gut. It was, I don't even know how to explain it, but it just made me ill because it's the one thing, dude, that we have that people actually come here for. And the COVID has actually caused the movie theaters around us to shut down. So outside of having to drive all the way to Pikeville, drive all the way to Ashland or Huntington to watch a movie, we're it. We can draw some people in here. And when people come over here to watch a movie, they stop and eat.
Right. Oh, yeah, get gas.
Get gas. They run in and grab them a pop. They do, whatever. And so it made me ill. It truly did. Like I've been sick for a week over it I told Amy, I said, I don't know why. I don't even know how to explain it. But I love the community center and I've spent a lot of time there. I always wanted to be on that board. Like I never really cared to be on a board. I want to be on the community center board because I like it so much. And I guess maybe part of it was just being there and watching the construction and, kind of seeing everything, be built. But I've spent so much time there, man.
Yeah, the same way, my kids, Chase is 18 and I'm sure he can't remember the community center not being there,
Right.
I even remember when they first started developing that land, we was like, what are they going to put there? And they was like, I don't know. I heard they were just trying to see how wide they could get it there,
Right.
So that basically, what people were saying for a long time. And then this thing popped up. I'm sure it's kept a lot of kids out of trouble.
Well, I'm sure it has, man. I said it's someplace that they can be that's safe. There is people watching.
Well, it keeps you from having to drive, 40 minutes down the road. You can drive 15 minutes. There's a lot less chance of an accident.
Sure.
I think the numbers probably back that up.
Well, and then the fitness there, man, the fitness aspect, that's something that all of Eastern Kentucky actually needs is fitness. We're not the healthiest people in the world. And they're doing a great job down there. They have free classes, like free Zumba classes. People get up there and walk. I mean, it literally became the hub of our hometown.
Yeah.
I mean, like every politician, like this past year, we had Governor Bevan and we had Hal Rogers. Where we met? Community Center.
Yeah.
The water board, the water department, where you make your payments, is at the community center. Because it's a central locale for people to come. It's a place where you can come.
Right. When
we first started having water board meetings, where we had them? The community center.
Where did you go pay your water bill?
The community center. It's just, it's everything. And we've got great people that work there. And we had to make some very difficult decisions in the short term.
Yeah.
While we get together. So JD, I want to talk a little bit about what I think our community is going to have to do to save this thing. Okay. Right. Now, number one, from a board standpoint, from the community center board and from the fiscal court, there's going to have to be some monetary support. Now, the fiscal court usually writes or works into their budget $50,000 a year to pay the community center. I'm not going to tell you that it's been paid every quarter that I've been there because the county's had its own, financial struggles due to coal severance money going away and things like that.
And short-sightedness, man. Let's not, for short-sightedness for years and years, this ain't something that just happened. It's accumulation. We finally have this thing that we've been able to keep open, but the short-sightedness of people in politicians from generations before us, from decades before us, they left us without opportunities to grow things like this. Because
everybody was always on the coal tit, so to speak. It was coal severance money was going to be in. That's what we were going to do.
Yeah.
And I'm sure go ahead.
Well, there's just no economic diversity here.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's by accident. I think that's by design.
It could. You're probably right, and I think too. Something like the fiscal court, they would put it in their budget, but it's one thing to put in the budget; it's another to actually write the check, right?
You can't pay electric bill with the budget.
Right. And so I think at times they probably didn't worry about giving the money because they knew somebody else was going to write a check.
Right.
But this fiscal court, the judge has promised me that, hey, we will get you a check cut. So we are going to have to look, number one, we have to restructure the business model and how that place operates because it is just not self-sufficient the way that it is currently operated. And it didn't really have to be, it was, and people will complain, I'm sure. I hope not, because hopefully they understand what we are actually having to do here. Mm-hmm. But you can go in and play ball for free. You can go walk on that track for free. Yeah. Guess what? We still got to pay. We got to heat and cool it, so we got to pay the electric bill. Yeah. It's not sustainable the way that it is.
Still got to have working toilets.
That's right. And in the short term, that's long term. Long term, developing a new business model, basically synergizing assets, meaning work together with the county, with the Economic Development Board, work together and share assets, essentially. Like if you've got a director at economic development, maybe the director of the community center can assist in that. Maybe there's some things that can be done. Sure. There is a financial person for the fiscal court. That person may have to handle the finances for the fiscal court, for the community center, instead of paying someone at the community center to do it. There's going to have to be some hard decisions like that made.
I've got some ideas, man. Like, should I throw them out now?
Yeah, throw them out.
So I think like we go after the NEA grant, the National Endowment of the Arts grants, and try to find some ways, maybe display local artists' work or local musicians, support them, and let them set up and play over there. And you can get some money from the state and the federal government from the National Endowment of the Arts. I think
it's a good idea.
You could set up 1 week in a month. You set up a yard sale inside the gym, and people pay rent. Like during the winter months.
Sure, it's a good idea. I mean, you can do bingo.
Yep, absolutely. Wow.
You can do bingo. We have a guy here locally who I'm going to talk to, I'm very close with, that runs a bingo game. I'm going to say, hey, can we do it over here one night a week? Maybe draw some of that. It may be that you have to have a membership. I don't know, with the way that our corporation's set up, there's some things that we have to get into and look at, and I need somebody that's smarter than me when it comes to corporate law, right. How we do it. But you may not be able to walk on the track in there for free anymore. You may have to pay a membership. You may have to pay $30 a month or $1 a day, and you get a card where you can go in there and walk.
Well, I'll tell you, in my experiences, like places like Scott County, they have actually a rate for in-county citizens and a rate for out-of-county citizens. It's like just like a fishing license. If you go to West Virginia to buy a fishing license, you have to pay more to fish in West Virginia.
Right.
They set up their water park, which is just like a slide and some pool and stuff. But yeah, it's like $2 or $3 more. But it's still it's generating money. And right. I just now got a message that said, "What about a GoFundMe account?" And we set up a GoFundMe account.
Well, we may get into that, because here's what's going to have to happen in the short term. All right, in the very, very short term, our community is going to have to come together, and we are going to have to fundraise like no other, right. Because there are some bills that are going to have to be paid. And I'm going to be very honest with you. If we raise $50,000, it'll be gone in 2 days. Right. That's the truth. Yeah. And I'm still digging through all the finances. Like, I'm still digging through all of it. But I know in the very, very short term, if we can raise $50,000, which is probably a good initial goal, it'll be gone in 2 days.
Just because you're so far behind.
We're just so far behind on things. So we'll work through all that. And like I said, we'll get a plan. We're going to have to do some county fundraising. There's some advertising we can sell. I told somebody, I said, I will make the side of that building look like a NASCAR.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I will sell signs to any business that wants to put one up there to raise money. But people have to come to the realization in the very short future, because we're going to try, if we can get a good plan, we're going to try to open it back up to a point, right? So that you can use a walking track, so they can still have their Zumba classes and things like that. So they still can have gymnastics there. Absolutely. We want to try to do something like that in the very short term. Now, the movies itself will have to stay shut down until a new movie is released. It's going to have to stay shut down. And because we can't afford the payroll, we can't afford the electric. They've already used all the PPE money that they got to pay the employees. So that's basically gone after this past Friday. So that'll have to stay shut down. We may be able to do some events where you can pre-sell tickets, and that you need to make X amount of dollars. So keep social distancing. You pre-sell half the theater out. If it sells out, then you have the event and you show the movie. If it doesn't, and then you're going to have to come back. And, we kept that movie theater open every day. There's probably going to have to be a schedule change where it's only open Thursday through Sunday.
Yeah, I think it's
something like that. I mean, those are the kind of things that we're talking about actually having to do. And then, like I said, we're going to have to do some fundraising. We're going to have to find every income stream that we can. And then we're going to have to go back probably and look at the leases that are already there and look at them, because they are pretty good deals right now for people. They don't have to pay. They don't have to pay their share of the electric. The community center pays all that. The utilities, the community center pays all of it. They just pay rent to occupy the space there. So we're going to have to look at some things like that too. We don't want to run off any tenants. We want the tenants that are there to be there and to be there for the next 20 years. But those are some things that got to be looked at as well.
Sure. I don't think
so.
They were really.
Yeah, the biggest thing, JD, is the community itself has to understand that in order for us to keep the community center open, it's going to take community support. Now, and I will tell you, there's no better place in the world to be than right here if you need community support. I watched a town, our kids made the national beta competition, went down to state, kicked tail, won a bunch of different stuff, and had the opportunity to go to a beta convention, the national beta convention, first time ever. This little community raised over $50,000 to send our kids to the national beta convention in Florida. I know our community will do it. Like, that's not even a question to me. It's okay. We get that initial part out of the way. We get all our bills caught up. We basically have to get back where we can start from scratch.
Right.
And then say, okay, what do we do next? And it's going to be a while. It's almost like the water district. I know you make fun of me because I bring it up all the time, but it was.
I understand, man. It was stress you was under, man. I realize that.
Well, it consumed my life. And the biggest thing we got, and I think we've got the person tapped, but the biggest thing that we're going to have is someone on our board that fixing this community center is going to become their life. For the first year that me and really John Horn and John Paul Hensley, Rex Endicott, and Jared Crum were on that water board, it consumed us. It took every ounce of our energy and every ounce of our free time and every ounce of everything just to keep it from collapsing on itself. And I became the water district. Like, I legit became the water district for a year. And then 2 years, really, because it eased off as we went forward. But now that we've got Alliance here, it's much, much better. So,
people don't understand when you say that. When you become the water board, like, people don't really understand. That means Amy was married to the water board.
Yes.
Ashton and Addison's dad was the water. You know what I'm saying? Like, I understand, man. The toll it really took on you. I tickle at you and joke at you.
I know, but it was.
I do understand that you was putting your heart and soul into that thing to try, because it took that to get it straightened out.
It took that to get it lined out, and that's what it's going to take for the community center. And the community center doesn't have the ability to do what we had the ability to do at the water district. Like, the water district had the ability to make money, right?
Right.
You raise rates, you do some things, and we actually sidebar. We got some good news this week, and if it holds, we just made a massive jump forward.
Oh, yeah.
And like a bigger jump than I really expected. So I'm hoping it holds, and we get to talk about it at the next board meeting. But I was all giddy on Friday. Let's just say that.
Okay.
But as far as what it's going to take to get the community center corrected, and it's going to take some people coming together and coming up with a really solid plan. Because I can see the path, JD. Like, I can see it. I can see the path to self-sufficiency. It's going to be long and hard to get there, but I think it can be done. And it is literally going to take everybody in this community coming together for a common goal to save it. And that's, some of the things we were talking about with the local benefactor that no longer is going to provide money each month. And there's some things locally, politically, that's been going on. And the only thing, and I understand both sides. I'm not going to take a side because I actually understand both sides completely.
Yeah.
One side a little more than another, but I do get both sides. So,
well, one side more than the other too, but I get both sides too.
Yeah, I get it. But if
I'm on the same side you are.
Yeah, well, I don't know. But as far as what I do know is that the county needs leadership right now. And I'm hoping that everybody that needs to step up, steps up, because that's the only way that the community center gets saved. And I think it can be done. It may look a little differently than what it did, all the past 18, 19 years. Change is hard, but change is necessary.
I mean, if you keep on doing the same thing, you want to keep on getting the same results, right?
That's right.
So what we're doing obviously isn't working.
No, it's not. And like I said, it wasn't fair to the person that was actually doing it. People just knew that he would. Knew that he and his wife would just write the check.
Right.
So, and this goes back 18, 19 years. They just knew he would. And I almost feel like, in a sense, he was taken advantage of in that way.
I think so too. Yeah.
And it's not right. We need to be self-sufficient. And it's there. I think there's a way to do it. Like I said, it's going to be long, hard, and we're going to need community support to be able to make it happen.
Yeah.
Now, anything we missed on that, JD? Because I've talked a lot, but as far as like any questions that you have about kind of specifics or things like that our listeners might want to hear.
Nothing I can think of. I think you did a good job covering it. Just know that these guys that are on the board, any boards, like if you are on the water board or the community center board, you're not there for you. You're not there to make Jimmy Don look good. You're there because the community needs somebody there.
It's definitely not for the money.
All that money you make on the water board, come on, bro.
Yeah, it's big money. But no, yeah, you're right.
Patience from the community is a big thing,
And it's definitely going to need it, man, because like I said, it's going to be a long, hard road, and it won't be smooth. It's going to be bumpy. It's going to go this way. It's going to go that way. But eventually we try to get right back here, and hopefully it's self-sufficient and it works like it's supposed to. And I think, like I said, I know I can see the path. And as long as everybody is committed to it, like they've already told me they will be, I got to say, I got a lot of support from the physical court, or at least from the judge executive anyway, to really try to help. I've gotten, people from economic development have reached out and said, hey, look, we want to try to help. This is our hub. We got to try to make it work. So I think it'll work out in the end. Like I said, it's just going to be difficult, getting from A to Z, but I think we can get there.
Absolutely. I agree with you.
All right. So we've taken 37 minutes, JD, talking about local stuff.
Give me one more minute, because I'm just saying, I know you're on the board, and I know some of the people who are on that board, and I have total confidence it's going to get fixed.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. And like I said, we will. And just like the water, man, it was long, it was hard, but we are headed in the right direction with the water. Like in the right direction. I mean, like it is really, we found something out on Friday that made the things that we've been trying to tackle, it made a lot more sense. Like it made things come into focus in a way, and you're like, holy crap, that's where that was.
Yeah.
And we've been looking for something for 2 years and could not figure out exactly what was going on. And then it came into view.
Right.
And so we're going to make a big jump. And what that means long-term, like you don't want to promise things, but what that means long-term is we're going to make more revenue. We're going to make the revenue we're supposed to have been making.
Right.
It is said that we have the 5th highest water rates in the state, or the 6th, something like that, 6th highest water rates in the state. But nobody really complained. Well, we found something that makes sense now, and you're probably going to see that we really do have some of the highest water rates in the state. We're getting ready to feel that. But if we can keep going in the positive direction that we're going, we get to reverse that a whole lot faster than we thought we were going to get to.
Hey, I'm all about that.
Yes, sir. So, I mean, like I said, there's a lot of stuff going on. Alliance has been a great asset to our community. They're going to be a great asset. I'm just telling you, to trying to help save the community center.
Oh,
he wants to come on here and debate you, right?
He does not want to.
He tells me all the time, he says, JD owns you on there.
What?
That's what he says. I said, well, it's not my job to argue with JD. My job is to move the show from topic to topic, and then occasionally I'll throw in what I think.
Yeah.
But he says that you own me. He said he wanted to come on and take up for the conservatives.
He does not want to. Craig, you don't want to. You may think you do.
He's a good one.
He is, but you don't want to take indefensible positions because you can't win.
All right, so let's talk about a couple other things, Jay. Let's talk about some national stuff.
Let's do it.
something, because we've been doing these interviews. We had Pilgrim on the other night, which was a hoot.
Yeah.
I had a great time with that. It's really a good wheelhouse for us too, because we all like sports, and Jack was cool, and that was a lot of fun.
I got a good buzz. I ain't gonna lie.
Sure, there ain't no lie there. You sure did. By the end of the show, you was feeling it.
I think one time we got off the air, like 20 minutes later, I was done.
Well, I got a text right after. I love you guys. I love this. I said, JD's hammered.
Did I do that?
Yes, you did. You said this podcast is my passion, guys. I love it. Thank you. I don't know. It was funny. So, and I knew, I said, well, he's feeling good.
Yeah, I was. Ain't no lie.
So,
boy.
So something I wanted to talk about with you, though, and Brad, too, and I hate that Brad's not on here, but I wanted to talk a little bit about cancel culture.
Yeah.
And, it's been on my mind for several weeks, and we've been doing these interviews, and then different things have come up, and we just hadn't had a chance to really talk about it. And before I forget, go back and watch the Glenn Fleming video, and you will get to see me geek out like no other, and JD uses the word rubbish, and it is incredibly impressive. It's hard to work rubbish into a conversation, and JD managed to do that. So go check that one out, Glenn Fleming. It was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed talking to him.
So did you pick up on his, talk about the PC culture and stuff? I thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
He was talking about the Fantastic Four, and I can't remember what's the guy's name from Fantastic.
Jack Kirby.
No, the guy, the character that he said he's not a black guy. So I'm tired of this political.
Oh no, that was Firestorm on the TV show. Oh. They, I think it's Legends, DC Legends, and he was on. I want to say The Flash maybe for a bit, but anyway, Firestorm was his character, and they made him a black man. Yeah. And he's not in the comic book; he's a white guy.
Right. So he feels like that's just being unique to political correctness.
Right.
So go ahead about your cancel culture. Go ahead.
All right, so cancel culture. So I actually wanted to kind of get your thoughts on the cancel culture, because it's almost like our society has become this cancel culture. If somebody says something, let's say on Twitter, let's use that example. Somebody says something on Twitter that you don't like, people will freaking destroy you. I mean, destroy you. And if you're a company and the CEO says something, I know recently, the one that comes to mind was it Voya, the food company, the guy said something nice about President Trump.
Yeah.
Okay. That's that guy's right to do so, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Well, the next thing you know, they're trying to destroy this company. And it was crazy. And I was like, I guess that's what happened. And I was like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Somebody is not allowed to have a view. I mean, that'd be like me and you sitting here talking, and we say something controversial or something that somebody doesn't like, and the next thing you know, they're trying to destroy our businesses.
No, I agree with you. I think a lot of it's silliness. But I also think there's a difference between being offended and being held down or held back. I feel like, let me see a good example. Using the N word is as much, that's not just being offensive.
Right. That's racist.
That's right. That's racist. To me, a rebel flag is a racist emblem, so I get those things, but I also understand there are people who like to wave American or rebel flags. They like to wave those things. But cancel culture, there's the pros and cons about it, man. I think on one hand, people are held accountable for what they do and say. On the other hand, do we got to hold everybody accountable for everything they do and say? You know what I'm saying?
Right. That's my thing.
Where's the leniency? Where's the forgiveness? Where's the humanity? Where's the empathy in those things?
It's just anymore, JD, you're not allowed to have your own thought. And if you had I'm sure. Go ahead.
Well, I was just saying, even if you have your thought, if you think it out loud, from 20 years ago, I think that there was a thing with Kevin Hart, not too long ago, where he said something, 20 years ago, and somebody brought that up, and so now he wasn't allowed. I think he said something about homosexuals or transgender people or something.
And they wouldn't let him host the Oscars.
He didn't host the Oscars because he wouldn't apologize. It's like, guys, that's 20 years ago. How
people change.
And I'm not perfect. I'm going to tell you right now, I am 41 years old. I've said some racist things before. I've used the N word before. Have you?
Oh, yeah.
I have.
It's been years, but I have said it.
Every black person out there almost has said something racist about white people. But you know what? We all grow and learn, man, and move on to the next part of our lives. And I'm not who I was 25 years ago. Are you? Because
No.
you've ever grown any. And so cancel culture, I mean, I understand part of it, but also understand that, man, there's just a point where you're being silly now. Does that make sense?
One that comes to my mind, JD, like for example, there was a lot of these. It was with like the trans movement, and I think it was Target or somebody like that wouldn't make a separate bathroom, or that the way, I can't remember exactly how it was. And we talked a little bit about the trans movement and some of these things on earlier shows. And I don't necessarily want a man that's dressed up like a woman walking into the bathroom with my daughter.
You know, this really hits hard for me because as somebody who considers himself left and liberal, I can sit here and say, man, I just don't see the big deal. That guy's trans. Let him go in there and use the bathroom. But then, I also have a 14-year-old daughter. So as far left as I am, like if I want to be anything in this life, I want to be a good dad. And I don't like the thoughts of when it really comes down to it, of a person with male genitalia going into the same restroom as my daughter. No matter how homosexual they are, no matter how trans they are, no matter what, like I'm not comfortable with that. And that may be my age, but that's just where I am. And in 10 years, I may not feel that way.
Right.
But there still may be plenty of people to do. And that doesn't make them bad people. We just need to understand each other. You know, and I think the target was they wouldn't let the trans people go into the bathroom of the sexual orientation they identify with.
Right. And I remember thinking, well, because I'm like you, like I have a lot of conservative views, but socially I am very liberal.
Yeah, you are.
Okay, like on liberal issue or on social issues, I'm very liberal. If you want to be gay, be gay. If you want to be trans, be trans. It doesn't affect me one way or the other. You're still a human being, and you deserve to be happy just like everybody else does, right? Sure. But when we start talking about going into the bathroom, and I'm thinking, I got 2 daughters. Yeah. I'm not comfortable with that. Like legit, not comfortable with that.
I don't feel like that makes me transphobic.
Well, me neither. But, at the same time, a lot of times that's what happens, though. We would say something like that. And if 10 million people were listening to me and you talk right now,
right,
there might be a group of people that we would say what we just said, and bam, they're trying to cancel our podcast. They're like, these guys are homophobic, they're transphobic, they're all these things, and we're really not.
Well, there's a person now. I don't know if you've listened to her on the Joe Rogan podcast. Her name is Dr. Deborah So, and she's now out of the medical profession, and she's just doing journalism. But she's doing a lot of writing about these people who are, young kids who are having these surgeries and becoming transgender, becoming, the opposite sex of what they was born. I don't know how to say it politically correct, so you can lock me up. I don't care. Anyway. But she's saying a lot of these people that are young and having these surgeries are getting older and regretting it. But they can't go back. I guess that we don't have the technology right now to
reverse it.
Right, to reverse it. So now they're stuck. And, there's even a lady in London that's suing, like her parents or something, for allowing her to have that surgery at the young age.
Really?
Yeah. And so, but you can't have that conversation.
Right.
Because if you do, now you're transphobic or you're homophobic and you're closed-minded. But I'm not any of those things, I don't feel like.
I don't either. But I don't think you are, and I don't think I am.
I don't think you are either. But I'm saying we got to a point where you can't even have conversations. You know what I'm saying? And when we get to that point, we stop learning, and you're not looking for somebody to learn and grow with. You're looking for somebody to teach and preach at. And we've got, and then, it's a Facebook meme, but I think it carries a lot of weight. We've stopped listening to people to listen. We've started listening so we can react.
Right.
And I think that's a lot of cancel culture is like, if you don't line up 100% with my tribe, then you're a Nazi. And the right feels that way and the left feels that way. And that's the problem.
Well, and I watched a thing the other day, and I've seen it on both sides. This particular one that I watched showed up on my YouTube feed. And it was this guy who went to this liberal university, and he was reading comments by politicians, by Democratic presidential candidates. They were comments or statements from them. He didn't tell them who said it, but when they heard him, they just assumed it was Trump. Right? And then at the end, he said, well, this was said by Joe Biden. This was said by Elizabeth Warren. And they were kind of like flabbergasted, but it was because they disagreed with the statement.
Right.
They disagreed with the statement.
Sure.
But they crushed Trump. But when they come back and tell them that, hey, this is the D that said this, not an R, their whole opinion kind of changes, right?
Yeah,
but I've seen that done with the Republicans too. They read things that Trump says, or whatever. I've seen it done on both sides. So it's not
policy on immigration. Like they're going to let this guy. Oh, I totally believe that. Oh yeah, well that's not Trump's policy, by the way. Oh well,
yeah,
I've seen it. Yeah.
Oh well, yeah, and that's the problem, right?
The tribalism, man. Tribalism.
It's tribalism. It's a good word because you're either here or you're here. And I'm not that way. Like I try to take, and I know you do too, and Brad does too, for that matter. I try to take each individual issue and I put my raising into it, what I've learned, what I've read, and I try to make a decision for myself on how I want to believe.
I had a guy tag me in a post on Facebook the other day, and I thought it was funny because a lot of people don't know me, especially don't know me the way you know me. And, you see my post on Facebook, and I put all these radical left, posts on there. I had a guy tag me the other day that said Dr. Fauci says that Trump's action in February when he shut down travel to China saved thousands of lives. And he tagged me and said, Jason, do you believe this? I said, yeah, that's the guy. That's the epidemiologist. I definitely believe it. Who am I to question Dr. Fauci when he says, just because he said something good about Trump, I'm not just going to dismiss that. He didn't change. His education didn't change. His ability to discern information didn't change. But because he said something good about Trump, he thought that I was going to, now disagree with him because that is what most people will do.
Right.
And it's sad because the tribalism. I'm not going to be held to any party or any person. I'm going to look at the issue. I'm going to make a decision based on the issue. When the epidemiologist says Andy Bashir saved lives, I'm going to believe that. When he says Trump saved lives, then I'm going to believe that too.
Well, and that's the thing. I just don't. When somebody says something, I'll give you a good example how it affects me daily. A perfect example.
Sure.
I love comic books. My favorite writer is a guy by the name of Scott Snyder. Okay, him and Greg Capullo. Greg Capullo's the artist. Scott Snyder writes the books. I will buy anything that Scott Snyder writes because I love his style and I like his storytelling. He is the biggest Trump hater in the world. He is a big liberal. I follow him on Twitter, and he despises Donald Trump. But you know what? I still buy his comics because they're good. And I'm not going to stop following Scott Snyder because he thinks different than I do. I'm just not. And the fact that you would want to cancel out, like all the conservatives that read comic books get together and try to crush Scott Snyder so that he can no longer write comic books. Well, that's a loss. The dude's a genius. That's a loss.
Yeah. And, you see this with these social media platforms. I know the right thinks there's some big conspiracy to shut them down, and they're being biased toward the right, but I think it's just absolutely crazy. But because there's plenty of examples on the left of Twitter shutting them down. But I like to have the discussion, man. And I think that's, what we've been doing on this podcast for in 3 days, it'll be a year, man. Just that.
I know, isn't that crazy?
Yeah. And, we're not stronger for hearing. We're not stronger for just hearing our side of the story all the time. We're stronger when we're challenged and when we see what the other side has to say and we get to weigh it out and see if that, fits with my morals. Does it fit with what I believe? Does it stand for what the things that I stand for? And does it make good common sense? And we're all better off. I've seen people, I had a guy a few weeks ago. He said, "You're a sheep." He goes, "I'm voting straight Republican. You're a sheep." And I was like, I was almost dumbfounded at the ignorance of somebody who would say he's going to vote straight Republican regardless of the candidate and then call me a sheep.
Wait a minute. Before I forget, what was the post that you made? It was about the earth being flat.
Oh my God, dude, I was crying.
I laughed so hard when I read that, like the way that you posted it. I laughed so hard. I was like, there people, come on.
So I love Twitter, and I'm a huge nerd. We all know this, but I follow like a lot of science stuff and nature stuff, animals, whatever, because I think it's stuff's interesting.
Yeah.
I think Neil Tyson deGrasse shared a video of one of the satellites going around the curvature of the Earth, and it showed. I mean, it's beautiful, man.
Oh yeah, I saw it. It was awesome.
And so I made a post, and I was like, "Oh, they're trying to lie to me. This is the government, trying to convince me that the Earth isn't." And when I put in the hashtags, do your own research. Hashtag, what I mean is go watch a YouTube video. Okay, so obviously being facetious and sarcastic.
Right.
So apparently this guy who I've looked at his other stuff, he's a really smart guy. Well, yeah, he's smart. I mean, he's a smart guy. He goes, "Oh, never mind that you can see this the satellite's arms and this, that, da da da." Like, I don't even know what he's talking about. And I was like, "Yo, it was a fucking joke, bro."
Yeah, dude, chill.
And so I put it on Facebook. I was like, "Welcome to 2020. Where even the smart people are stupid."
Yeah, that was brilliant. I actually thought it was really funny. I was like, "Oh, that's awesome." Yeah, because I read it and then I was reading the comments and I was like, "Oh my God, seriously, it was clear that you were being sarcastic, right?"
I thought the hashtags were hilarious myself.
Right, those were awesome, man. So one other thing I do want to talk about, because we are getting short on time, and I don't mean to jump into that, but we may bring that topic. Do what now?
We have to make our announcement for Thursday too.
Oh yeah. Oh, don't let me forget, and we'll do that at the end. I'll let you take care of that. So today, and JD and I were talking before, we went live, and just trying to hash out exactly what we kind of wanted to talk about and how we were going to work through it. So the only show prep that we did, right? so
obvious.
I was asking JD, I said, "Did you see the thing about Trump?" The only thing I know of that happened this weekend was Trump made an executive order to continue paying, I think, unemployment of $400 per week or something like that. So
additional dollars instead of the $600.
Right. So JD, because that had stopped, and now he's going to pick it back up with the $400 a week, which is a good thing. If the economy's still struggling, they can help people out. That's a good thing. People who are paying taxes. So, but JD said, "Did you see that they cut the payroll tax?" And I was like, "No, I didn't see that." So kind of explain, JD, a little bit what you were kind of telling me.
So I just know a little bit about it, and I'm sure there's more in depth. But from what I understand it, the payroll taxes, if you make over $100,000 a year, and I don't know if that's individual or family, I don't know. But if you make over $100,000 a year, your payroll tax goes away, but so does your Social Security. Like there won't be no more Social Security, because that's how they pay for Social Security, is with your payroll tax. And I still think it's a good idea.
So explain to me, like, now I have always argued, okay, for myself, that if I didn't have to pay into Social Security and didn't have to pay the payroll tax and pay into Social Security, that I would much rather take that money and invest it myself. I'm going to get a much better return, okay? It's a stock market thing, but I'm going to invest that into something that's low risk, that's going to get me somewhere between 6 to 11% a year, somewhere in that neighborhood. That's really low risk. That's pretty easy to do. That to me seems like a good thing. Like to me, that I would actually prefer that, because I know that I'm going to get that money. That's my money, and I know I'm going to get it. So, like, where do you see the other side of that?
Well, the other side of it is that what about people who don't know how to invest in the stock market well? They're not good with it. So, in 30 years, what do? We let them starve? Let them go homeless?
That's a good point, really. I mean, if they don't invest, what do you do? Like, I would almost want it to be where, okay, fine, you're not going to pay me Social Security. Fine. Take that money. I'm used to not getting it anyway, because I think Trump's idea is if we get it, we'll spend it.
Right.
But at some point, you do want to retire, But the Social Security system, the way that it's set up right now, is unsustainable. It was very similar to what we were talking about the community center here in our hometown. The business model is unsustainable. Well, Social Security is unsustainable.
Right, in the current model. I mean, but we can change things. We can do things differently. There's many ways that we can do things differently. I mean, just because this is the way we've always done them, it goes back to, we can do, the healthcare thing. If we have better healthcare, now we're not paying that into our, for medicine or electricity. You don't have to choose between medicine or electricity. And now you got money to, maybe invest or maybe to put aside on your Social Security. There's a lot of, all these things, economics are very, very, this very well, are very intermingled. It's not like you can just, all these things affect each other.
Sure they do.
So just because it's not working currently doesn't mean we can't come up with something better.
Right. Well, and I agree. That's a great point. If the point that you make,
I don't think getting rid of it's the right answer, though.
Right. I think the point that you make is good in that, but here's how, let me push back just a little bit, because I think the point that you make is valid, that what happens if you make over $100,000 a year, but you're not smart enough to invest your money so you can retire. Now you're 65 and you want to retire, but you can't because you got to keep working because there is no Social Security and there's nothing you can get. That makes sense, right? That's a valid point. But the people who are below $100,000 a year still get it invested and they're still going to have retirement. I think the thought process is, all right, if you're making over $100,000 a year, you've got a pretty decent job. You should be able to invest that extra money and insure yourself, right? I mean, am I saying that right?
No, you got it backwards.
Okay.
If you're under $100,000 a year, the payroll tax goes away. Your Social Security goes away too.
Oh, so it's under 100, not above.
Yes.
Well, that doesn't make any sense at all to me.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. But the point is, there's more people making under $100,000 a year
than there are making over 100.
Right. So they're one of those people who go out and spend their money to get this economy going again, I guess. It'd be not only way I can see it happen. But at the end of the day, if you had that money in your pocket and you had to choose between going and buying your kids clothes or investing in your Social Security, what are you going to do?
Yeah. No, I mean, that's just not even a question, right?
Right. So I don't know.
So, I mean, no, I thought you were talking about if you're over $100,000, then payroll tax goes away.
Your Social Security's still there.
Yeah, that don't make no sense to me.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. So you ready? I'm going to do this announcement, man. Y'all ready?
Yeah, hit it.
So, I don't know how excited I am about this. I don't know if you can tell, but I am tore up about this. I'm excited because this is probably the biggest dude we've had on the podcast yet. And we've talked about him on the show before.
Like one of the very first episodes.
Yes, one of the very first episodes. For those of you listening, if you're interested in this and find out who this is, if you don't know who this is, when I say the name, you'll know by this. There's a show called Unnatural Selection on Netflix. On that show, there is a ex-NASA scientist who is now a biohacker. He is the guy who was selling biohacking kits on eBay. He's the biohacker who shot himself up in the arm in front of the whole class of people he was talking to. His name is Josiah Zahner, and he'll be joining the Just That Bourbon podcast on Thursday.
I can't wait, dude. Like, I remember seeing that guy because we talked about this documentary, one of the very first episodes. And I was like, that dude's nuts. He was standing in front of the room, and they were like, well, would you do it? And he was like, yeah, and popped himself right there. And I was like, oh, my God, that's crazy. So, yeah, I can't wait, dude. I think that one's going to be a lot of fun.
And I laughed at I was emailing back and forth with him. He's like, I was asking you guys don't ask those stupid questions like, what is biohacking? I was like, we would never ask something stupid like that.
Right. That's the first question.
Like, I don't know what else to ask, but we're going to figure out something between now and then.
That's funny. No, I'm excited, man. I hope people check that one out because that will be a lot of fun. And we will do that one live on Facebook. The Sunday show's on YouTube. The Thursday show, The Other Side of the Glass, is always Facebook Live.
Yeah. So, but one of the things, and this goes back to what we were talking about transgender just a few minutes ago, and it's one of the questions I want to ask him, and this is a good tease, I think. They're looking at actually using CRISPR, the biohacking, method, at instead of having people going under the knife for surgeries to change genders, is using biohacking to change genders. And so that'd be fascinating to ask him about that, I think.
Interesting. That's a great tease. I want to know that. I want to hear what his answer is to that.
Yeah. So I hope you guys tune in on Thursday. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And I think he's going to be a lot of fun. And super smart guy. He's almost as smart as me. He's definitely smarter.
Well played, sir. Well played. All right, guys, we appreciate you tuning in. JD, I miss Brad. I always do when he doesn't get to jump on with us. Hopefully he'll be back. He'll definitely be back on Thursday night, I'm sure, and hopefully next Sunday for the normal show. So, as we always end our show, for myself and from my man JD, no matter how bad your week's been, no matter how bad your day's going, if you just add bourbon, it always gets a little bit better. See y'all Thursday night. Check it out.